All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. How's everybody doing today? Yeah, we're at the penultimate episode, chapter, what have you, of the Underground Railroad. This is the one that people have been waiting for me to get to. This in episode 10. This is called Indiana Winter. Full spoilers, we have not seen it. Also, again, if you are enjoying what we're doing here on the channel, definitely take a look at the huge catalog I have of videos that we've done here. There's many playlists. But if you're not a subscriber, please become a subscriber. We are getting close to our 2,000 subscriber goal. It'd be really helpful in our motivation here. And if you wonder, like, I'm usually a little bit more energetic about this. But this was a rough one. This was a return to the first 3 episodes because it was all, you know, inevitable. I was kind of curious going into this. It seemed by some of the comments, I kind of didn't know what to expect from this. I was keeping more of an open mind, but in the end, what happened the only way it can. The fact that I entertained the thoughts of anything else happening was me being hopeful, but not real. And so we come to it here, and this is, just again masterful storytelling. This is prestige television. This is history. This is important TV. A lot of TV is frivolous and for fun. Most of it is. It's for entertainment. It's for escapism. This is education. This is history. This is stuff that we can't afford to forget about. We've mentioned this before. And so I got a lot to say about this episode. And I know that some reviewers just like to talk about what this, like they talk technically about the things that they see on how they review things. And that's how a lot of people are, and that's great. But I, myself, that's not how I review things. I review things about how they make me feel. Now, I can tell you, yes, again, as always, the cinematography is great. There's some wonderful use of music in this episode. The shots, all these kind of group shots are prevalent. Like in the rest of this series, they showcase these magnificent shots of just people. And they're so well done. They're so well done, and the acting is, again, always top notch. The acting in this is really good. The speeches, the two dueling speeches, and that the Mingo and Valentine give are these great. It's really great, like just seeing the two sides of how the perspective of what's going on here in Valentine and the future of Valentine, which proves to be that there's really not a future. Because again, like we talked about with the judge. The judge, man, we just keep him in booze, but it's... So anyway, before I get too all over the place, this is a masterpiece, Barry Jenkins. This show should win all the awards, but the thing is, what do awards mean when something is highly praised for how well a subject matter is done, when it brings to light, or not brings to light, but more like shines a light again on things that we need to hear, things that we need to talk about. What do all the world's awards in the world mean when nothing changes because of it? Other than we can have a good dialogue. There needs to be real change. There's the possibility of real change that can happen when we, put our minds to it. But really, this episode just kind of shines the light on what America really is. At the very end of this, it's like, this is America. And through the whole thing, I kept thinking, this is America. Before we even got to the Childish Gambino song at the end. So let's get into talking about this. Now, there was a moment here, and it's about the term testify, because it's a term that they bring up a bunch of times here throughout this episode. But to really get going, we got to talk about the beginning. Ridgeway, there, still at his dad's farm, where the final, for him, his own freedom from his family and his farm and his humiliation of not knowing the Great Spirit. He throws his dad's body onto the into the pit where they did all the iron work, and he works the bellows now. I don't even know if that's the right term for that, but he sets fire to his dad in the place that his dad tried to teach him things he didn't learn. And that's him saying goodbye to his old life as he decides to return again to the chase for Cora and the railroad. And so we know where this is headed with Ridgeway, right? He finds Cora. Although Homer's he just knows. It's he's a little bloodhound. I can just smell Cora in the air somehow. But we return to Valentine, where Royals returned with a bunch of people. He has returned. He is safe. And brings Ellis from the railroad. I believe it's from the railroad, right? And it has this great line when they see each other again. She's, kind of fiddling with her seeds in her hand and kind of wringing her hands and talking about, having to talk to him, wanting to get it out, how she felt when he was not there. I loved his line of, I left ashamed. I left shamed, and in that shame, I left you in shame. And it's, it's just a really, really, really good scene between these two characters. Now, this is where we get Cora testifying. And I really wanted to understand the term testify, because you hear it in when you'll say testify in church. All right. There's that, and then there's, you testify in court, you're giving your evidence of of a crime or lack of it, if you don't have it, what do you have to say about the thing that's going on in this court case? What truth do you have? And I never really thought about it, though, the term testify. I never really thought about it. So it's yes, it's an intransitive verb to make a solemn declaration under oath for the purposes of establishing a fact. But it's also to make a statement based on personal knowledge or belief, to bear witness, to serve as evidence or proof. So when they say then that she has to testify and find her words, she is telling her truth. She is telling everybody the full story, what she knows, what she's been through, what she believes. And she doesn't even really get to finish, which is interesting, because it was building up to her telling her story. And I guess it was could say as a way to not have to hear the whole thing, because we watched it, because Mingo interrupts. And I think, Mingo's an interesting character because he's like Ridgeway, right? Who thinks that slaves who bought their way out deserve freedom. And Mingo's kind of the same way. And in this country, there are those, say, immigrants that come from south of the border. There are people that come here and then they go for their citizenship, and they say they were doing it the right way, right? And how even those will look down on the people that just come here and hang out and then, make some money and leave. And it's a thing that's still felt today, right? The African slaves that were brought here had to, you either worked and died on the plantation, or some of them were able to buy their way out. And so they look down on anyone who just runs from, some of them do, that they're running from their duty as property. If you don't do it the right way, then you're never really free. It happened then, and it still happens now. Except it's more migrant workers that are coming from other countries now on their own, and there's still that feeling of you're not really an American. And that's a huge debate. I don't feel like that's something I really have to explain. If I do, wow, that's still going on today. What makes an American? Do you have the right to be here? You took our jobs, kind of thing. Even though I think most of those jobs are jobs that white people don't want to do. It's always been the thing for me. Is like, why do you have a problem with people doing the work that you won't do? You don't want to do it. There's people that would rather be homeless and beg on the street than go do what migrant workers do. They do. There's people today when I leave and I go to the store to get some things. There's going to be a guy on the corner with a sign saying, "Hi, I'm stuck here in town. Can you give me some money?" Rather than, hey, I don't know, maybe go, apply for a job at a farm. Go work at a farm. Work in somebody's field. Get some money together to get yourself out of Dodge. Like that kind of thing. And they're always white. They're always white, just sitting there begging. Sorry, don't want to go off too far off a tangent. But Ridgeway, he makes it to the judge, but he doesn't have the deed for Cora. And he's like, well, you get me the deed and then you can have your warrant. So immediately right there, it's, by the law, he's right to do this. This isn't like some kind of, if they're looking for a fugitive, he's at least asking him to do the right thing. You don't have the proof that you need to get this person. You can't have that person. You can't go looking around. They will kill you if you just go, whistling Dixie. I like that, which makes sense. Now that term, whistling Dixie, suddenly makes sense. It's about bringing your shit, your southern stuff up here. I never really thought about the meaning of that term. We get the contest that they have and the corn shucking and getting the red corn cob and for the red pipes, and it's a fun way to, like, life back then was not like here where there's so much ways to be distracted entertainment wise. It's sometimes you just sit and you stare at Netflix and they don't even watch anything. You spend 20 minutes just looking. Back then you had to make your own fun. And, this is what you do. Plus, it mixed fun with work. The corn needed to be shucked. Make it into a joy. Make it into a contest. So, after this scene, we get Cora and Royal. They come together. And, she's starting to remove her clothes. You got the scars on her back. And him saying, "I love you." And just looking at her face, all the things that are flying through her mind, all the work that she does as an actress with her face and her eye work, but she doesn't say it back to him, but it's like, she's trying to process all of this, all these emotions, all these feelings. And it's all done so well with no words at all. Just when you can do, I really appreciate facial acting, if that makes any sense to anybody. I talk about this on other channels, like when we watch people, how they work and tell you stories with their face. And she does that incredibly here. So the next scene is like Ellis, the train guy, he's the railroad gentleman. He's leaving. He's going west. He's not sitting here. He even says, previously, makes no sense to be out here where this, this close to slavery. I'm going out west. And it's like Cora said before, or I think it was Cora maybe. I can't remember for sure if it was her or not. Like, what if there are no places to escape to? Like, literally have to use the terms escape. Not leave, not move on, not look for better opportunities, escape. What if we're only running? And while it's true that Ellis can go out there and try to find his, own piece of land and his own fortune, if you will. And it's not to say that it probably hadn't happened in to some, to few, to very few. But like you're out there by yourself as a black man in the old West. Hard enough for anybody. It was very, it's very dog eat dog. It's, kill or be killed. You want something, you just take it. So I fear for Ellis because even though he's going out there with this like kind of, I'm gonna be free, really free. I even like, if you look at the actor, it feels like there's that hint of fear still, of doubt, of like, man, this is either gonna be the biggest mistake or the greatest thing ever. And I know that maybe that's cynical, but it's like you think of him going out there and it's like, well, chances are that wherever you go, it's something's going to get you eventually. And that's a terrible way of thinking, but it's realistic, especially back then. And we have Ridgeway dreaming of the railroad. It's now become this obsession to find out, find the railroad. Now, I kind of at first thought of this as like in the dream, like he's like the railroad is this force that it's too big for him. It's something that he's gonna need to get out of the way of. It can't be stopped, but he's like determined to try to stop this, to find this, to get all of them that ran away. Now, we have Mingo and the judge playing poker with these fucking pieces of shit. And they're talking about the deal that they're working on, right? That Valentine is more than wine. And to come see the compound. And when they get to the part where they're voting, when they hear about the vote on the deal, right? Because at first they're just like, oh, we're concerned about runaways and fugitives and shit. It's like, no, that's all just bullshit. That's all just surface crap. All right? It's like they're playing with their food. Like a cat with a mouse. Because they get to the part where they talk about there's a vote on the deal. And they're like, you're making a vote on whether or not you're going to take, that we're going to allow you to become, to work with us. Like, ooh, like, how dare you put a vote to decide whether you're going to work with the wonderful fucking white man, right? That you're going to let us be a part of this. Like, as soon as you see these guys and you hear these guys, where this is all headed. It's just about how now. How do we get to the most, the reality of what is going to happen to Valentine? Like I said, when we first started talking about this place, this wonderful place, this delusion that they call it, and the judge even says, you should have let them win a little. And he's like, I did, And this also goes into, that way of thinking goes into what Cora, is also, you have Cora talking about, poor Royal. He's like, nothing's going to touch you here. We're great. This is paradise, basically. We are here to protect you. Nobody's going to get you, And she's like, it doesn't, look, I'm still property up here, and discussing it to him, like, if this place is so valuable, if this place has so much money, why haven't you used that money to free your own people from bondage? If you could use that money to get all these people out, then why aren't you? And he's like, well, you're holding on to what you can. And it's true. It's sad. It's sad, but it's true, and it's another reality. is that as much as they all would love to free everyone, in their own ways, you've got to look out for number one in this situation. That if you can make it out, or if somebody like Royal can come and help you get out, then you can get out. It's such a depressing thought. Such a sad reality that they couldn't just do what she's suggesting. Because, you know, when he's making these promises, she's saying, don't promise me anything. There's nothing that you can say to me that's going to make me feel any better. Because she sees through this, I think, like this whole thing, that you people, she's seen it all. And I think that she sees that they've forgotten that with this place, you know, and what it could mean. The reality is that it's just everything goes away. Eventually, the white man comes and takes everything. And, you know, talking about special folk, you know, like everybody calling me special. Why is it that only special people can get out? Why can only special people get on the railroad? What, you know, like why can't everybody get out? So when Ridgeway is denied the warrant again on the street, and I love how he tries to make a scene, you know, and the judge, to his credit in a way, I guess for now, is like, no, you're not doing this, you know, you can't just do this, get out of here. But Top Hat Tails guy is sitting there going, how can I use this to my advantage? Now, before they have their big speech, Mingo and Valentine have that moment where he's talking about we're two sides of the same coin, but we're really not. He's like, we're not the same, you know, because I bought my way out of chains, and look at you would never know you were in chains, you know. That they've both handled the situation differently. They both look at things differently. And while they both really do have points, they both really do. You know, don't tell me about dreams. But the thing is like about Mingo is like he's trying, he thinks that if he just plays the white man's game, then he'll be allowed to continue playing. But the thing about white people is, you ever see a white person lose a game? Or decide that they don't want to play anymore? It's not pretty. Now, of course, Mr. Top Hat shows up to Ridgeway's place, because of course he does. And we get the big scene with the speech, the two speeches. You know, Cora saying whatever way the vote plays out, I'm going to honor it. And that the white man will come for this place eventually. And it's like, you know, they say that, and you know, like Valentine's like, it's true, we're not all going to make it. And I really enjoyed his, you know, you can't escape slavery. It'll always be something that's a part of you. Whether it's 1865, 1965, or 2021, it's a part of African American history and culture, and burned into every single person, I would assume. You know what I mean? Like, this is where it gets difficult as a white person to talk about these things, that I wake up in the morning and I don't have those, oh no, like I don't have to think about my past like that. I have my own problems from my past that don't deal with that kind of trauma. I have my own trauma, but nothing on the level of thinking that at any time, if they feel like it, some white person could just take everything away from me and get away with it. You know? If something happens to me or somebody does me wrong, there's a good chance that I would get some form of justice. And so that's so deeply ingrained in me, right? I don't wake up with those fears. I have my own that are that, but they're not like that. That kind of feeling of always looking over your shoulder, in a way. Always that lingering fear in the back of your mind that you might not even notice all the time. You might be able to get through your day, and many days, but then the one time, it happens. It's very difficult to talk about this because I don't want to, again, overstep as someone who doesn't completely know. If you don't know, you can't completely understand. All you can do is try to understand. The line that white men are going to let you be a part of things is, or accept us as long as the sky is blue and hell is hot. Value and power. America is built on murder, theft, and cruelty. Yep. I mean, it's the whole Manifest Destiny thing brought out. And of course, Mingo brought these people out there. He doesn't know that they brought an entire posse of great Indiana folk. Again, showing like right off the bat, all you had to do is say the word. It's scary how quickly people are just like, oh, it's time to kill the black people? Okay, let's go. Doesn't matter if you're in Indiana, Georgia, fucking Timbuktu. It's like they're just waiting for the call to take everything from the African American. Because they have it and I don't. Going into what they say, if you give them a piece, they come for the whole thing. And it's 1,000,000% true. It's just disgusting. There's times where I just think to myself, like, geez, how do you even go on without just always feeling this horrifying guilt of how you got here, how I got here, how many countless numbers of people died that I could live in this house and not have the same worries as everyone else, as a minority does. Who I hate that term minority too, by the way. I really do, because it's just another way to diminish people, I think. But just as they say it too, they're coming for the whole piece. He is shot. And it's open fire on everyone. Even the judge is sitting there, and it shows how ineffectual he really is. Why? He's just like, why? And he's like, well, he said it. We're going to take the whole thing. We can't have this many of them running around like this. And, it's just, again, it doesn't matter if it's Indiana or Georgia. That there's only so much that the white person will allow anyone to succeed over them. Or even side by side, equally. They will not be, they do not allow equality. We sit here and we talk about equality. In this day and age, this is still America. This is still the way it is. You got the people who yell about the looting and the riots, and they talk about it in terms of how dare they. As if they should be pleased with what we give them, is what they're saying. It's what they're saying without saying it. Calling them terrorists. Because they're standing up to inequality, to injustice. Yet you're supposed to just take it. This is what we give you. This is what you earned. This is all you get. And white people don't say that. You know, they try to dance around the language of tyranny, of enslavement, of allowment. This is what you are allowed to do. We don't talk about it. We'll change the word. We'll call you a terrorist. We'll call you, and we'll go, oh, those businesses didn't deserve to go up in flames. Those are... When you're fighting tyranny, shit happens. It's not the way anybody wants something to go. But when there's nowhere, when you don't know how to solve and there isn't, I don't even know. It's such a, I almost feel like I need to pause this and try to get myself together, my thoughts together, because it's so disgusting how it hasn't changed. Yet this is what America still looks like for everybody but a white person. And as democratic as some people can be, as liberal as we want to be, and we want to say that we're on the side of everybody, so many of those people will only take that so far. They'll still be looking out for number one and go, well, sorry, what am I supposed to do about it? Instead of actually really fighting side by side with the people who need help. Instead of standing there going, thoughts and prayers, everybody, thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers don't do shit. Actions do. So let's get to the end of this. Royal is shot, and presumably he's dead. He's dead. As far as I can tell. His eyes are open, and that's just... And Ridgeway is there, takes Cora, says, take me to the railroad. I think he means to find them all, and her mom. I think that he needs to understand where they all escaped to, and this is the hub. She's trying to get her to take him to the hub where they all have run to. And then he has to talk to her about, like, oh, that anger you feel. You got to do something about that. So she pulls them both down the tunnel. He takes the brunt of it. She bounces off. And Homer, of course, tries to defend his master. Tries to get the gun out, but it's empty. And she does not kill him with the rock. And she almost runs away on the handcart. Instead, she goes back and sees everything in ruins. For all intents and purposes, Valentine's probably gone. Doesn't matter if anybody survived that, because the white men will keep coming. They've been killing, doesn't matter if they were self-defense. And it was. This is a massacre. Just like Tulsa. They saw the black people had something that they didn't have, or they just couldn't tolerate that or share in the benefits of being in America. And she does get the one girl out, and they go down to the bottom of the tunnel, and she shoots Ridgeway with Royal's gun. I have to admit that I shed a couple of tears here by the end of it, because it's just so depressing to realize that it's 2021 and it might as well still be, in some ways, 1860s, 1800s for African Americans. and other minorities with the attacks on Asian people lately, and the indignities that Latinos have had to face. Anybody that isn't white. And by white, I mean white, pure as the driven cracker snow white, which means, you have to probably discount Jewish people. And just that thought alone brought some tears to my eyes, because it's just, as much as we, technology we have around us, as much as we like to act like we're enlightened, we're still the same fucking miserable pieces of crap that do terrible things to each other for the most base reasons. I mean, I guess we should, at least we keep it simple. We just hate anybody that isn't us. We do not tolerate anyone who succeeds more than us. If it's something that we could have had, we have to do something about it. And it's the last lines, again, like when Ridgeway, the American imperative that Ridgeway was trying to drunkenly have Homer dictate. If you can't subjugate, eliminate, exterminate. And it's being done today. Still. Again, just more civilized. The subjugation of people is still happening. And they're being eliminated if they can't be broken. And we do nothing about it. We hedge everything on some court cases that are supposed to be groundbreaking, that are supposed to be about justice. But it's, everything just moves back on to the way it always does. As soon as people started opening up, COVID stopped being such a big threat, and the CDC was letting people, telling people you can open up, and states are opening up, the mass shootings started, and we're killing each other all over again. The crime rate, the police killing African Americans stat has not changed. They're still doing it. It hasn't changed a thing. We talk about, we got to come together in this whole COVID thing, and we've done none of it. We can't even wear masks without agreeing and making it religious and all sorts of other crap. And we just go on going on. And how much longer can we keep doing this before it finally blows up? And when she kills Ridgeway, I was thinking about the boy in Georgia was survival. Killing Ridgeway is justice. And everything he kind of, what he represents. And the thing is that if it was only that simple, because it's just, the reality is that this is America, where if you're not white, you might as well if you don't like it, get out. Right? Remember that the people like to say that still. If you can't deal with the white man's rules, then you might as well get out. So we're heading into episode 10 now. I'm going to need a day or two to recover from watching this one. So it might not be up till Monday or Tuesday. And I'm sorry if this was a little all over the place. If you happen to make it this far and you did like what you heard here, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not a subscriber. If you did not like anything that I just said, and you made it this far anyway, and you'd rather forget anything that I said, well, we got a cure for that too. All you have to do is look right here, and we will give you the memory of a pleasant thing that you watched. And so anybody who wants to remember this, look away. Otherwise, hello, goodbye. You just saw the most pleasant thing in the entire world, and I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.